We are here in Long Beach at the California Democratic Party State Convention, where we have an exclusive interview with presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. Good morning, Marianne. Welcome to California.
Thank you.
Really quick, what is your message going to be here today at the California Democratic Party Convention?
Well, I want to talk about what I have seen around the country. 2 years ago, there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of anger because of a rigged economic system. And I felt at the time that only somebody who named the rage and the despair beneath it would have a chance to win the presidency. And those two people really were Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. They both named it. And so I felt, it was either going to be an authoritarian populist or a progressive populist, but somebody's going to have to speak to that rage. This year, though, I think is different. I don't think the emotional tenor of this moment is rage. I think the emotional tenor of this moment is exhaustion. And so Democrats, I believe, in order to win in 2020, the winning strategy is not to rage against Donald Trump. I think the winning strategy is almost not to mention Donald Trump. People are exhausted. People are exhausted of the fight. What I want to do is paint a picture of the greatest chapter in American history that we have ever seen and what we have to do in order to achieve that. That's what I want to talk about. I think if we go into this campaign season with the focus on Donald Trump, I'm afraid it will have terrible consequences for us at the ballot box.
Yeah, Marianne. So we are here in California, where you are going to be speaking to about 5,000 attendees today, delegates and activists here. Now, California all states have a lot of problems, but California has some very different issues. We have blackouts, we have our wildfires, taxes is some of the highest in the country, our gas prices are the highest, the homelessness situation. So a lot of people here in California are wondering what could politicians in Washington actually do to, see some change here in our state. Do you think your presidency could bring some change, definitely for the folks here in California?
Well, two things are involved there. One, when you talk about the wildfires, when you talk about some of the environmental issues, we need a completely revamped Environmental Protection Agency. EPA right now is headed by an ex-coal lobbyist, before that by an ex-oil lobbyist. We need to change that to a world-class environmental scientist. We need to be following California's lead in terms of our national policy, and Washington should be helping California, not trying to thwart California in its ability to handle its affairs environmentally. Secondly, when you talk about issues such as those of renters, some of the homelessness issues, et cetera, at core, what you're talking about is an underlying poverty issue. And that has to do with the fact that for the 40 years now, we have been there's been a massive transfer of resources into the hands of 1% of Americans who now own more wealth than the bottom 90%. Washington can do a lot about that. We can repeal that 2017 $2 trillion tax cut that gave 83 cents of every dollar to the very richest individuals and corporations, although I'd put back in the middle class tax cut. We can stop those corporate subsidies. We can cut military defense spending to what the military says it needs, as opposed to just what defense contractors want for their own short-term profits. And with that, we're going to have the money to actually provide the kind of opportunities so that people can get out from this constricted situation of chronic economic tension and anxiety. We can provide universal health care. We can remove those college loan debts, and we can provide for free colleges and universities. We can have much healthier food. We can have much more park space. We can have much better schools. That's why I want a United States Department of Children and Youth. That's why I want a Department of Peace. I want to bring in the people who know what to do about some of these terrible consequences of all the social despair that we have. That's why we need trauma-informed education. We need community wraparound services. We need to save our millions of American children in California, like everywhere else, who go to schools in places where they don't even have adequate school supplies to teach a child to read. We need to bring in the people who know what to do with kids who might otherwise be attracted to gang membership, to people when they've come out of incarceration, et cetera. We know what to do in every single area, whether it's the environmental area, whether it's peace building, whether it's caring for our children. We have the social workers, we have the peace builders, we have the environmentalists. What we need to do, and this is where Washington can make a difference, is we can start funding and focusing on the problem solvers rather than giving all our money to those who are ultimately our problem creators.
And my very last question for you, Marianne, is recently we just had the shooting at Saugus High School, which is about an hour and a half here from Long Beach. That it was a 16-year-old student went, I believe, had a 45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, stepped onto school grounds, and ended up killing two students. He injured a few more in that shooting. So the conversation has been brought up back in the community of what could we do to stop situations like this from happening. California already has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Is it metal detectors the solution at schools? Is it armed security guards? This conversation has been brought up with parents, especially here in California with the recent news. What in your opinion is the best maybe solution or way to handle this mess?
Even if California, of course, has the toughest laws, as long as you don't have certain federal mandates about laws, then there's a bleed through from other states. We need universal background checks. We need to outlaw the bump stocks. We need to outlaw the gun show, close the loopholes, gun show and boyfriend. We need to reinstate the ban on assault weapons. We need to have mandatory buybacks. We need to have licenses. But you know what? Beyond that, we need two things. We need to make sure that enough people vote. We need to counter all voter suppression. We need to lower the voting age to 17. This will open the space by which we might override the nefarious influence of the gun lobby and gun manufacturers. And beyond that, I want a Department of Peace, because we have to address in this country not just the symptom, but the causes of so much violence. You know, all I keep thinking about with all of these shootings is, what's the story of these kids? How did we get here? What is really going on? We need to look under the hood here, and we have to have a Department of Peace, and we have to have a much deeper look at what is creating all of these explosions of violence from the heart of people. If there's enough violence in someone's heart, they're going to find a way to express it. Now, that's not a reason not to have strict gun safety laws, because I feel we should, but we need to take a much deeper look. And no child, something has gone very wrong in a society. Very wrong. Not just in that child's home either. Something's wrong in our society that 16-year-olds want to pick up a gun and shoot their classmates. And I want to help America look in the mirror. It's going to be difficult to do some of this, but that's what we need to do.